Film has the power to transport us into a different world. While it is often described as a visual medium, watching a film is a process that engages our entire body. It makes us feel the world it creates and the emotion that it expresses, and we are able to feel it almost as if we were there. In the film Stalker, 3 men take on a journey towards a forbidden area that constitutes a mysterious room, which is said to contain a special power to grant one's most desired wish. In regard to phenomenology, that is, the study of the conscious experience, the film can be understood as a particular world that is experienced by the viewer in their own particular way. This video essay argues that Stalker can be considered a lived body on its own that stands in relation to an embodied viewer that mirrors the anxiety of the characters. First, we will introduce our theoretical framework, whereafter we will conduct an analysis of the film as a lived body and the embodied spectator. Stalker can be considered a lived body or a subject in itself, as it makes use of certain modes of embodied existence. This means that the film positions itself through a certain way of being in the world, because it understands and therefore experiences the world in a particular way. However, by perceiving the world in a certain manner, it also expresses itself as a particular subject to the audience. The viewer, however, is also constituted by a perceptive body, and this creates a particular relationship between the film and the viewer. One's perception of another subject can furthermore be considered embodied, as it is through the body that meaning is constituted, and through which we make sense of the world around us. In conclusion, Stalker can be understood as both a subject of a perception and expression that furthermore stands in relation to an embodied viewer. In Stalker, the film as a lived body manages to express its perception of the world and incites in the audience a similar anxiety that is experienced by both the film's body and the characters. In order to better understand how the filmic body engages the audience with the psychological tension of the characters, we will analyze one scene in particular. When the stalker, the scientist and the writer finally arrive at the entrance of the room, they hesitate to enter it. The scientist decides to destroy the room with a bomb because he considers the space to be a source of harm. At first, we can see the scientist is captured in a high-angle shot as he expresses doubt to the room. We see that the stalker walks away quickly into the grey and muddy background as the camera adjusts its focus and removes the blurriness. This fluidity of focus variation, as the background is mostly blurred, overpowers the human figure in the foreground as if entrapping the characters. Later, when the stalker tries to take away the dynamite from the scientist and the 3 fight with each other, the camera simply remains static and captures them in a long shot. This distant observation helps to induce the audience to reflect on their frustration and agitation in relation to the bleak environment surrounding them. When the stalker is pushed away, the focus goes back to his face, rendering the background blurry again. As the writer reproaches him for being a hypocrite, the camera shows the stalker in a high-angle shot, illustrating his fragility and helplessness as he explains that the room is the only hope for people like him. Throughout the scene, we as viewers are dragged into the character struggle by an actively observing camera, which facilitates the perception and expression of the filmic body.
Да, вы правы, я гнида, я ничего не сделал. В этом мире ничего не могу здесь сделать. Я жене не смог ничего дать. И друзей у меня нет, и быть не может. Но моего вы у меня не отнимайте. У меня и так уж все отняли там. За колючей проволокой. Все мое здесь, понимаете? Здесь. В зоне.
with Tarkovsky's cinematic techniques, Stalker transforms into an embodied experience that situates the audience as participants in the character's shared existential anxiety. In the scene at 2.10, set near the room's threshold, the film epitomizes the tension between anticipation and dread. The intentional pacing, ambient soundscapes, and visual framing work together to create a sensory engagement for the viewer, drawing them into the character's physical and emotional states. This aligns with our thesis. Stalker functions as a lived body experience. The zone itself is a significant part of this embodiment. The elaborated structures, still water, and muted tones evoke an atmosphere of decay and uncertainty. Tarkovsky's use of long takes and static framing forces viewers to experience the extended duration of each moment, mirroring the growing anxiety of the characters. To understand this embodied spectatorship, we can draw on Vivian Sobchak's phenomenological approach in The Address of the Eye. Sobchak suggests that cinema is inherently corporal, inviting viewers to sense themselves in the flesh. Tarkovsky achieves this through his deliberate cinematography and sound design, which create a multi-sensory dialogue between the film and its audience. This embodiment is heightened through Tarkovsky's manipulation of time and movement. The characters' cautious steps and moment of stillness create a palpable sense of tension. As viewers endure these protracted moments, they become acutely aware of their own physical presence, as though mirroring the character's hesitant movements and apprehension. The room itself symbolizes this embodied anxiety. It draws viewers in while simultaneously repelling them, reflecting the tension between the characters' yearning for truth and their fear of confronting it. In this way, Stalker transcends narrative, becoming a sensory and corporal experience. Tarkovsky's approach bridges the gap between screen and viewer, making the audience active participants in the film's existential exploration. In conclusion, in Stalker, by considering a phenomenological approach, we are able to redefine the relationship between the film and its audience. By considering the film as both a subject that is able to perceive, but also as an expression, the film becomes a lived body that allows the audience to empathize with the existential anxiety and physical presence of the characters.